Good morning, beautiful people. It is Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. A lot of questions need answers, and that's what this show is about. Hypotheticals. Who's going where? Is Zion the greatest basketball player ever? We'll talk about all of that. Today's going to be a good one. 1-833-622-3331. We would like you to be involved in the show. Evan Foxy, please play some handsome Bachelor star Chase Rice music.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Vacation. 2 hours of magic, let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
You're damn right it is. Chase Rice. It's the Pat McAfee Show from Indianapolis, Indiana. I don't know where you're listening or watching from, but I appreciate the hell out of you. Joining me today at Nick Moraldo's on the ones and twos, at Tone Diggs, Ty Schmidt, Jason McAfee, Cuban Zeet is here with a brand new shirt, at Evan Foxy, and Bubba Gumpino, also known as Canadian Gumpy, is on the phones for just a few more days before he gets deported. Is that accurate, Gumpy?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Hey, we've loved having you down here in America. This is a country that knows how to run democracy and knows how to run elections and things like that. There wasn't a complete debacle last night in Iowa at all. Excited to not talk about that, but I do know that everything is a massive cluster truck. That's from what I've been told.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Is that an inside joke or
What's that?
whatever you guys are talking about?
Oh, there was caucuses last night, which I still don't fully understand, but I don't think anybody does anymore because from what I've been told, they couldn't figure out who got voted for what.
I'm sure we could figure it
And
out.
I guess caucuses are when people go into a group and they talk and they decide.
Yep.
And just like in every other aspect of society, it turns out that people couldn't talk and decide anything from what I've been
So
told.
it's like college football playoffs.
The selection committee went into Iowa and they couldn't figure out a damn thing. So I guess it was some would say a massive, embarrassing operation for our democracy. But hey, that's America, and this is kind of what we got going on. Our sports world, though. Now that the Super Bowl has been decided, now that Super Bowl live from Miami has been decided, now that the Kansas City Chiefs have been deemed the world champions, now there's a lot of questions. My first question is, if you win the Super Bowl MVP, you sign a contract, okay, before you go in the Super Bowl, no matter what position you play. Even as a punter, I had to sign this contract. It says if you win the MVP, you will say, I'm going to Disney World, okay? You sign it like a week beforehand. Everybody on the team has to sign it, even people that will never get it. Patrick Mahomes obviously wins Super Bowl MVP. A lot of people thought maybe Damian should have won it or whatever, playoff Damian, which I completely understand because he had a great year. But in my eyes, the Super Bowl MVP is normally a product of the entire season as a whole and the run and everything like that. It's not just the game, it's the entire run. Patrick Mahomes obviously deserved it if that was the case. I can see the case for Damian Williams. I completely understand it. But Patrick Mahomes won it. And also having Super Bowl MVP on his resume as he goes for this massive contract is good for the Chiefs and for him. So whatever the case, I watched him at Disney World yesterday. I don't think I've ever seen anything worse in my entire life. I don't think I've seen anything worse. I would not want to do. I don't know how much they're paying him. I don't know how much the NFL and the Chiefs and everybody have not paid Patrick Mahomes enough, obviously. He's the face of the franchise and everything like that. But whatever he was paid yesterday by Disney World was not enough. He came fresh off of no sleep, okay? No sleep at all. Andy Reid did his press conference with no sleep. I'd imagine that the MVP, the quarterback that just won a Super Bowl, also had no sleep. And I'm not saying he got intoxicated or anything like that, but I'm sure there was a lot of celebrations. Then he has to fly to Disney World, and it wasn't like a trip to Disney World where it was private. You get to enjoy Disney. He had to work the entire day. There was videos of like Make-A-Wish situations happening, which, by the way, very awesome to make people's lives come true and happiness and stuff like that. But if you're maybe hungover. I'm not saying he is. Maybe he's hungover. Maybe he's on no sleep. And you just have to entertain people at this place that's supposed to entertain you for 9-10 straight hours on no sleep. I mean, I think the last thing I'd want to do is that. This is what I would want to do if I won the MVP. I'm going to Disney World, and I would ask to go to that Avatar ride, and I would want to do that 10 times straight, and I'd hop on a plane and get the hell out of there. That's why Patrick Mahomes is a better human than me. On no sleep, hungover, just won the Super Bowl. The rest of his teammates are probably sending him videos or Snapchats or texts or whatever of all the fun that they're having for all of their hard work. He is over there shaking hands, kissing babies for 9 straight hours, riding in a parade, waving, hi, how's it going? None of my friends are here because they weren't allowed to come. I'm all by myself. I just don't know if that's the dream. I mean, he tweeted about it in 2012 or whatever, got to experience. I'm happy for him. But after watching that yesterday, all the videos that were popping up on social media of what he had to do, I thought, man, that was the last damn thing I'd want to do if I just won a Super Bowl. Get me the hell out of here.
All you had to say, Pat, was scariest environment imaginable. That's all you had to say. Scariest
Kids,
environment
babies.
imaginable. Whether he's hungover or not, he didn't sleep. He's in the hot Florida sun on top of a bus all day long in a crowd of human beings that are just probably the worst human beings in the world.
Oh, they're all. Hey, we're all here for Disney World. We saved up for this vacation for years. Our kids who poop in their pants still are here. There's too long of lines. We can't take them to the bathroom. But hey, we're at Disney World. And look, that guy just won a Super Bowl, which means we're allowed to go just harass the hell out of him. I mean, that's the last thing. He might be different than me. Last thing on earth I would want to do.
There's diseases and potential viruses in the air down there.
Hey, they're lucky that I didn't win MVP. They're like, I would have left. I would have walked out.
I mean, it makes sense if you're like 30-something with kids too. Like that, if you're 23, like I don't want to go to Disney World after winning the Super Bowl.
Hold on though, that Avatar ride,
Best ride ever.
is worth it. Okay, you're in now. Am I a guy that loves the movie Avatar? Absolutely. Okay. Do I ride with Jacob Sully? You're damn right I do. Am I excited for the next one coming out in 2045 or whatever? I'm very excited. But that ride is worth. Whenever I left Disney, I went to Disney World for the first time in my life just a little bit ago. I'd never been. Growing up, never went. I was invited to the College Football Award Show down in Orlando. We had free bunny passes. A hurricane hit. There was couldn't go. So there was rain and I was hungover, so I didn't go. So I just went to Disney World for the first time 6 months ago, probably.
Yeah.
I understand it. I get why everybody likes it. I didn't watch any Disney movies growing up, so I didn't have the nostalgia of the stupid little people walking around. Now you're supposed to get pictures. It didn't really held near and dear to my heart there. But that Avatar ride, I literally, as soon as I walked out of it, I'm like, they should set these up in different cities and just let people come and do it. You're on like this little motorbike. You're sitting there. They strap you in, and then you're riding as if you're one of them big-ass birds in Avatar, and it's like an 8K screen around you. They hit you with mist when there's the water, the
good
wind.
Disney.
I mean, it's legit. Aside from that, though, none of it made sense to me. Now, Patrick Mahomes probably grew up watching Disney movies and stuff. He tweeted about how awesome it was. But I watched those videos yesterday. And I was like, get me the hell out of here. No way.
I wonder if he's regretting the tweet that he sent a few years ago or whatever, that he thought it would be a great time.
Yeah. I would like to hear some truth from these Super Bowl
You're not going to get it
MVPs.
from him.
I would like to hear if he was miserable yesterday. I'd like to hear. Because I was watching some videos, and it wasn't like they were setting him up for success either. They're like, hey, why don't you go do this? Like, hey, we got 3 kids over here that want to meet you. We were wondering if you just go walk up and surprise them. It's like, am I supposed to just say hello? No, just go ahead and say hello. What? Well, it just was a very interesting situation. I never wanted to.
Well, and you don't have a choice anyway, do you? No. You literally can't say, no, I'm not going. If you have to sign that contract, you have to go, right?
Wonder what the penalty is.
I would wonder, yeah. Well, you don't have to deal with.
I think Walt comes out of his grave and just buries you.
I can understand that Disney World is a destination place for a lot of places. My lady loves it, right? She loved the Disney movies. Like, she's a big fan of it, the whole thing. But for me, not watching Disney movies as a child probably ruined a lot of it. There wasn't a lot of nostalgia or whatever. And I can understand having a parade is probably pretty sweet all by yourself up there with the damn Mickey Mouse or whatever. But boy, if I'm running on no sleep at all, and I'm hungover, and all of my boys are partying, all of them, every single one of them, and I'm sitting up there just for 9 straight hours, just getting baked and having to talk to children, I'm just not sure that's what I want to do. Now, granted, maybe I'm a terrible person for that. That might be accurate. But now that we're past that happening, now there's a lot of questions in the NFL. There's a lot of money, a lot of decisions that have to be made. There's a lot of everything going on. The number one topic of conversation right now that we started 2 years ago, I think, maybe a year and a half ago, is whether or not the NFL season will be extended to a 17-game season. This is going to be the talking point for probably the next, until a deal gets made with the CBA on whether or not this is something that's going to happen. And Greeny on This Morning on Get Up had a bunch of stats about the last time that leagues extended their season another game. Okay. I guess the NFL in like 1968 or 1978 moved to a 16-game season. Hasn't been changed since. The MLB, the NHL, it's like these things only happen every half a century whenever you change the season length. So it's a massive ordeal if they were to extend it one game. Then Richard Sherman comes out, and he is a very vocal member of the NFLPA. He is a guy who not only has a big brain, but he has a lot of pull, and he's been around a long time. He comes out and says that the NFL keeps preaching that safety, NFL player safety is a big deal. Now they want to add an extra game to the end of the season. Basically, calling them out on their bluff. Like, hey, do you really care about player safety? You have games on Thursdays. You have games international. Now you want to add an extra game. Is that really that, or is that just one big bluff, right? And I think that's something, or grandstand. I think that's something that is a very good defense. I think that's a very good defense if you're the NFLPA. But I've always said the NFL wants 18 games. The NFLPA wants to stay at 16 games. In any negotiation, you have to scratch their back for them to scratch your back. I just assumed that the 17-game season was going to be what everybody came to agree upon, right? I don't even know if the NFL actually wanted 18 games, if they only wanted 17 games, and that's why they said 18 so they could negotiate down to 17 as if they were a cop that just adds charges on top of things so they can add a plea deal. That's just how negotiation works. Now, what I always said they had to do would be add an extra bye week. So now we got 2 extra weeks of football in the NFL, which as a fan, we're all very excited for. Very, very excited for. As a player, the pros to this would be 2 more checks, either at the current rate that you have or tax them. Make them pay an extra 10% on those payments for the last 2 weeks of the season. Make it a 110% check, 115% check. Now, will that hurt the safety of the players? Yes. I understand that a lot of players have to crawl to the finish line. I understand that a lot of offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, running backs, fullbacks, positions that play a lot more physically tasking positions than I played in the NFL have a lot of problems with their bodies towards the end of the season. I understand that most games on Sundays, guys aren't feeling better until about Thursday, and then maybe even Friday they're back, and then Sunday they're at full speed with Toradol and other stuff. I understand that it's not a healthy relationship. I understand that it is not a good thing for a lot of players. But if you look at the playoffs and you look at the way the NFL is going, this is a chance for a lot of people to cash in, including the players. Ratings are going up. Interest in our sport is all the way back at an all-time high, whenever it might have disappeared because of the bad PR. Now, bad PR is the CTE situation. Bad PR is the way that the kneeling was spun by some people. I'm not saying what it was originally for was bad PR, but the way the kneeling during the national anthem got spun by half the country was not good. The narrative for half the country that was ignorant to listening to the other side said, listen, this is disrespectful to the military, this is this. And there was no listening to the other side, just like in our world, by the way. That's why the caucuses probably didn't work, because nobody will listen to anybody anymore. It's not like, hey, we're doing this because we want to make our particular community treated a lot fairly and stuff like that. Instead, it was disrespect for the military. You can go to hell. We're not going to talk about it. The NFL went into a downward spiral. Now the NFL is back hot. You get more money, more eyes, more weeks of play, and it's going to task the players a little bit more. So obviously, if the NFLPA, you have to ask the NFL for more. We'd like a little bit more of this. We'd like a little bit more of this. But I ultimately think that the 17-game season is going to happen. I think that the 17-game season with an extra bye will end up being a good decision when we talk about it 5-10 years down the road. I think every team has a neutral game. And honestly, I'm excited for it. I'm pumped for it. As a person that has to talk about football, I would like for there to be 2 more weeks of football to talk about. Personally, this might be very selfish of me. But I also think for players, getting more money, a bigger check, and everything like that is good for everybody.
Yes, for us and a common fan, 2 more weeks to watch, to drink, to get away from your families, to bet on, and everything, to party, to tailgate, everything that comes with that is great for us. My only objection is adding that extra game for for a chance for the players to be hurt. One of the reasons why the Super Bowl was so great was because both teams were as healthy as they possibly could be. There was no players on the injury report for either team going into the game. So just adding that extra week where it's possible like a star player gets hurt in week 17 going into the playoffs, it just hurts the greatest time of the year for the NFL, and that's the only part that I worry about.
So that's 22 weeks into the season, that Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So that's 22 weeks in. And they're talking about counting out are taking out a couple of the preseason games for this, which is smart, shortening up training camp. They're trying. I think the NFLPA should be aggressive in its negotiations for the 17 games. Like, if you want 17 games, you want us to add an extra game, you want to put our players in a liability getting injured yet again, you want to do all these things, you want to make the season longer, well, we're going to need this, and this. And that's how negotiations works. That's what the NFLPA should do, and I hope they get it done because, honestly, I think the NFL players – now, we can dive into the revenue share. The NFL has the worst deal out of all 4 major leagues, okay? The same person that negotiated that revenue share is the same person that's negotiating this next CBA, which is very, very interesting. The NBA is at 50% revenue share with the owners, a lot less players. The NHL, I believe, is at 50% with the players, with the owners. MLB, I think, is 48 to 52% revenue split with the players. And then the NFL is 47 to 48%. So it's the worst negotiated revenue share with the owners the players have, right? Although it's the highest grossing, though, so the money makes up for it. But if you look strictly at the percentage that were negotiated for, it's the worst negotiated percentage out of all 4 major leagues. Now, if you add 2 more weeks of salary with a little bit of a bonus, you shorten training camp, maybe even shorten OTAs, do all these other things. I think there is a negotiation to be had to get those 17 games. I just hope the NFLPA can figure it out.
In your opinion, in terms of the players' importance, do you think getting more money or the safety aspect is what they're looking at?
Money. Now, safety for sure. There's some guys that, especially, I mean, you see players retiring early because of safety, right? I think safety has been something that has been thought of, but money is ultimately the end-all, be-all. And I understand a lot of fans are like, oh, you play for the love of the game. Well, maybe 0.001% of guys in the NFL play for the love of the game. Everybody else is playing for business. Take care of their family, take care of their future, and set themselves up. I think also they should think about, and this is also another selfish thing, but every player in the league is going to be a retired player at some point. They should negotiate into that 17-game season like, hey, things for retired players. I'm fine. Okay, I want to let everybody know. I am very fine. I'm doing very well. But there's a lot of players that aren't. A big initiative that I am going to start doing, by the way, is figuring out ways to take care of other retired players to get them money, because the stats of retired players crashing is alarming. So that's something that should also be negotiated into this thing. But I think the 17-game extra 2 weeks of football thing with an extra bye week is going to be something that is going to be very contentious in conversation. And if somehow the NFLPA can negotiate a future that's bright with the NFL financially and all this other stuff, I think it's worth it. To be honest, I think it's very much worth it. But it is something that has to be taken very seriously because of the safety issues of the NFL.
Do you think we could see like a load management situation? Give a guy a Thursday night game off?
Can't do it. I mean, maybe some players, like I think some players aren't playing whenever they're at 100%. You know, I think there is some load management already potentially happening. But whenever it comes to your star players, you have to win. You have to win. You just have to win games in the NFL. There isn't enough games where you can take off 5, take off 10, like in those other leagues. You can't do that in the NFL. So even if there's 17 games, not enough games to take things off. 18 minutes after the hour, we got to get to a break. When was the last time you were driving through a storm and I think it's going to happen, by the way. But I think the NFLPA should be very aggressive with what they negotiate with for it, because the amount of money the NFL is going to make off this.
Yeah.
Massive. When's the last time you were driving through a storm and thought, wow, I love not being able to see a damn thing when I drive?
Never.
Yeah, you probably haven't. Now driving in bad weather doesn't have to be a headache thanks to the new Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades. These blades last through everything. To prove it, Michelin just put their new Endurance XT silicone wiper blades to the test on a world record-breaking 16,000-mile drive from Alaska to Argentina to show just how durable these blades are. Rainier Zeitler was the man behind the wheel, and he put the Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades through ice, snow, rain, thunder, and wind, and the blades took all of it. These blades are crafted for extreme weather performance with an advanced quad-tech 4-layer coated silicone that repels water, snow, and ice and lasts 2 times longer than the other blades. The Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades are real-world proven for extreme weather performance. Upgrade to the Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades today only at Walmart. Rainier Zeitload plays no games.
No.
Cuban Z, you want to take some phone calls after the break?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll get to the phones on the other side. I'm happy we just solved the NFLPA and the NFL's negotiations. Happy we could do that. Any other questions, by the way, Raj? We're here for you. This is the Pat McAfee Show, 1-833-622-3331. We'll talk to you on the other side.
It's happening. People are freeing themselves from their wireless contracts. It's a movement towards something simple. Get truly unlimited data on a 5G-ready network for just $45 a month, with no contract ever. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
Show here on this beautiful Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. Shortly in this hour, we will be predicting where all the free agent quarterbacks go. I think we're 100% right, too.
I like most of them that you've told me.
I mean, then there's a hypothetical that's been tossed out there with the Niners and Patriots that I think you get it. It's beautiful. I think there's a real chance that something magical could happen with the Niners and Patriots. What if Tom Brady ends up back at the Niners? What if Tom Brady goes back to his childhood home? Okay. What if he goes back to the team that he has absolutely loved since birth? The San Francisco 49ers. And Jimmy G goes back to the Patriots. Everybody knows, well, at least the rumors are, Bill Belichick's never come out and say it, but the rumors have always been that Bill Belichick wanted Jimmy G. He didn't want Tom Brady anymore. Bill Belichick is the guy who axes humans before they need to be axed just so he doesn't have to see the wheels fall off at the end of their career. He's done that forever. Teddy Bruschi, you're retiring or you're getting fired. That's what Bill Belichick told Teddy Bruschi, who's a very good player. Teddy Bruschi now goes on to become an incredible television guy, very handsome, all that stuff. But he does not care who you are. Bill Belichick is a savage when it comes to maintaining greatness in the Patriot way. Always has been. Now, this last year, they weren't that great. The team wasn't that good. They still won games because the defense was great, and they still had Tom Brady and the it factor and all that stuff. But Belichick was a guy who wanted to fire people before the wheels came off. I want to get rid of them. Let them go somewhere else. We'll find the next one. I don't want to be at the end of their career. Now, Tom Brady is a guy who still won a Super Bowl just a year ago. But Bill Belichick, the conversation was, whenever they got rid of Jimmy G, it was strictly because Belichick was falling in love with Jimmy G more than Tom Brady. It was becoming quite a rift. So Kraft decided to get Jimmy G out of there so that Tom Brady's team or whatever. So now with that being said, if it's true, it's never been confirmed. If Bill Belichick still loves Jimmy G, and Jimmy G gets traded, I think his salary cap next year is $21 million?
26.
$26 million. $26 million, which is $4 million less than what they've reportedly said that they're going to say give to Tom Brady. He goes over to the Patriots in a trade for $26 million. He becomes the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick gets his handsome toy back who's Italian. Then, all of a sudden, the San Francisco 49ers need a quarterback. Guess who is on the market? The greatest quarterback of all time. The quarterback that probably would have hit Emmanuel Sanders on that deep ball. Yeah. A quarterback who knows that the offensive line is damn good. A quarterback that knows that they have a great running back stable. A quarterback that knows that Deebo Samuel's going nowhere. Oh, and by the way, do they have the second coming of Gronk and George Kittle over there? They absolutely do. Wes Welker, one of his best friends, is a wide receiver coach for the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, great brain, can make any quarterback better. I'd assume he'd be able to do good things with the GOAT. Is Tom Brady going to be the 49ers quarterback next year and Jimmy G going to be the New England Patriots quarterback next year? People are saying it's possible, and I am all the way here for it.
Let me ask you this. All right, so Jimmy has no money, no guaranteed money left. If they trade him before June 1st, they save $22 million. They have to eat $4 million of that $26 that he's owed. Who wins? Who's better off if Jimmy G's on the Patriots and Tom is on the 49ers?
Tom Brady wins. Tom Brady wins because he's going to a loaded team, right? Now, the Patriots defense is going to be good regardless because Bill Belichick is a very good defensive coach, right? That defense is always going to be good. They lose Kyle Van Noy, though. Kyle Van Noy is probably going to end up with the Dolphins. I mean, he didn't tell us that. We have no idea. He just called their head coach by his nickname, B-Flow, and they have a lot of money to pay a guy, and that's a potential landing option for him. He also pushed for the Giants. He said, go Giants, when he was interviewing with us because Joe Judge is the head coach. Kyle Van Noy is going to go get his money wherever he wants to get it. He said he loves the Patriots, but let's assume somebody else is going to offer him money because that's not what the Patriots do, by the way. They made Tom Brady take a pay cut for a long time. But I think Jimmy G goes to the Patriots, Tom Brady goes to the Niners. The Niners and Tom Brady win much quicker than the Patriots and Jimmy G do. I think that's just an outright fact.
Just a little more fuel to this hypothetical imaginary fire. Tom grew up in the area. It was his boyhood hometown team, the San Francisco 49ers. He was a fan.
Well, you were typing something up. That was literally the first 3 minutes I talked about. But I appreciate you piling onto that. That is 100% true. And there is something to be said about the nostalgia fact of growing up and playing for the team that you grew up loving. There's little pictures of little before he became very handsome, little ugly Tom with the San Francisco 49ers stuff on. Oh, man, that would be beautiful. But yet again, with how Tom Brady has played this entire season pending free agency, all of these are available options. All of these are potential situations. Him being the quarterback for the Niners, though, and Jimmy G going back to Belichick would be the most magical thing the NFL could think of. It would be storylines for days and days and days.
If this happens, and it almost makes too much sense for it not to happen, the Niners will win the Super Bowl next year.
That's what I'm saying.
Imagine the Super Bowl
did no one
matchup.
watch Tom play this year?
What are you talking about?
He stunk.
They stunk. The offense stunk. The offense had no weapons. What do they have?
So he gets none of the blame?
I don't blame him. I'm not blaming him for
With that defense, he scores 3 touchdowns a game. Guess what? They're going 14-2, winning the Super Bowl.
You think he
He
misses
had a great
that?
defense this year.
You think he misses that ball to Emmanuel Sanders?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, there was someone in this office who said the Patriots would have went 4-12 this year, which if Jimmy G was the quarterback.
Who said that? Nick said that. Do you think Tom Brady could hand the ball off? every time but 8 times and win the NFC Championship?
Yes, I do.
I think he wouldn't mind at all.
What if Belichick does it without Jimmy though, or with Jimmy and Brady can't do
So
it?
then the
Best case
conversation
scenario.
is Belichick goes right to Kraft. He says, "I told you." Listen. I understand you wanted to trade him away because you felt a little dissension between me and Tom, and I wanted Jimmy, and you got rid of him. So it was like, hey, I don't want to be sleeping with the maid type situation here. I just want to let you know I told you so. I absolutely told you so. And I think Jimmy G, very good quarterback, by the way. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think he missed that ball that we will judge and talk about forever. I think he didn't have to throw the ball a lot in the NFC Championship. He only had to throw it 8 times for them to get a dominant win over the Packers. I think Jimmy G is a very good quarterback. I just think John Lynch originally called the Patriots for Tom Brady is what everybody says. So if John Lynch likes him and his best friend Wes Welker's there and it's his childhood team and they're potentially thinking about moving old Jimmy G, I mean, why does it make too much sense? We'll also break down where all the other free agent quarterbacks are going.
Tell you what, I love off-season hypotheticals.
Oh, it's the best, dude. Let's go to Mike in Long Island, who wants to talk about the Niners and Tom Brady being their quarterback next year. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, Pat? Big fan, first time, long time. What's up, guys? What a great NFL season we had. Wild. Absolutely wild. And I just want to talk about 2 things. You talk about how the ratings are going up in the NFL and everywhere, and I think a lot has to do with these great shows like The Get Up, your show, Taylor Lewan. You got First Take talks about the NFL, and it really draws a lot of interest.
You know what?
Second,
Mike, hold on, Mike. I have not gotten enough thanks from the NFL for their ratings going up, have I?
No, you haven't.
Mike, thanks for bringing that up. I'm gonna tweet the commish today and tell him I am awaiting his thank you for not only the 17-game season with the extra bye week and shortened preseason, not only the idea that Alberto Riveron needs to get the hell out of the position that he's in, and all these other stuff that I've done, but also for being the sole reason why ratings are going up.
You made football great again.
I agree.
Well, look at
I
me.
agree. I wouldn't have said it if I agree. You guys are great.
He's right,
You guys-
'cause
an
football TV shows
ex-NFL
didn't
player
exist
giving
before.
You inside. I love it. I mean, I'm calling in. I love your show.
Mike,
And second,
so thankful.
appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Second, what I was going to say is you brought up Richard Sherman before, and I'm happy I get to do this on a nice platform, but that guy's a buffoon. And I'm so happy he got burnt by Sammy Watkins in the Super Bowl and Devontae Adams the week prior. I think if I went against him, I'd beat him on a little hesitation.
Mike was going so good there for a little bit, and then he got a little delusional, you know? But I understand how a lot of people who don't love Richard Sherman could feel very vindicated for the last couple of weeks. Darrell Rivas even tweeted, I bet y'all waiting for this smoke from me after Sammy Watkins got him. We got to remember, Sammy Watkins, very good wide receiver. Very good wide receiver. His career might have been up and down, and maybe his focus wasn't always 100%. But you got to remember, whenever you're a first-round grade, there's a reason for that. His talent, his ability, his speed, his everything. And although he might not have performed at a first-round level for his entire career, although I think he got off to a hot start with the Buffalo Bills and then went to Rams, he did okay. But he never always been the main focal point, or maybe it's because he never chose to focus in. Whenever you have that chance to be immortalized forever as a Super Bowl champ, normally you rely back on the absolute talents that you have. I think Sammy Watkins probably watched film harder. I think he probably trained harder. I think Sammy Watkins probably went all in for the Kansas City Chiefs there for the last, month and a half of the season, and I think it paid off. He said he's probably going to ride off to the sunset, maybe take a year off. He's forever be remembered as Super Bowl champion. He's forever rich, and he has that moment in the Super Bowl where he went bombed on Richard Sherman, which is one of the perennial greatest cornerbacks of our game. I'm happy for Sammy Watkins full circle.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
not just a first round pick, like number 4, like the perennial, like
Stud.
one of a time talent.
Yeah, and when I was on Get Up Super Bowl week, there was a question asked in the production room, who's the long shot to win the MVP if it isn't Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy G, and stuff like that? And my answer was Sammy Watkins, strictly because of everything I just said. Everything that's deep inside of you, right, that maybe you haven't done or for your entire career because maybe he got content, maybe he didn't want to focus, maybe his brain was elsewhere. Whenever there's a chance for a Super Bowl, like you just focus in a little bit harder. And if Sammy Watkins could take all of his weapons and focus them into one thing, I think we saw the outcome. And that was the last 3 weeks. He was having having a great run. Plus, obviously, you have to double Travis Kelce and double Tyreek Hill, so you get a chance to kind of be on your own island out there. But I was excited to watch Sammy Watkins play well, and he had that moment with Sherman that'll forever be immortalized in the conversation piece of what Sammy Watkins is and what Richard Sherman is.
It's probably safe to assume that he'd have a much different career if he would have had a guy like Mahomes the entire time, too. I mean, in Buffalo, they were kind of in like purgatory with their quarterback there for a while, so he wasn't like getting on the same page with someone. I mean, if he was, had a guy like Mahomes his whole career, we might be talking about him much differently.
And everybody says, like, you're getting paid to work. You're getting paid to be a wide receiver. There are some people that if they know that the guy throwing them the ball stinks, it's very hard for them to go out and run extra routes after practice. All the things that it takes to be a great wide receiver, right? I got a chance to watch Reggie Wayne. Watch him. Extra jugs machine after every single practice. Extra routes before every single practice. In the film room longer than everybody else. Like the things it takes to be a great wide receiver while also having normally a massive level of confidence / ego is not an easy thing to become a premier elite wide receiver because you have to balance being a human with an incredible work ethic and put them together. And if you know you're probably never going to get a good ball or a good pass, or your offense stinks, it's probably hard to continue to keep doing these things, no matter how high you're drafted, how much you're getting paid. The human instinct has to kick in at some point, and I think Sammy might have been the guy that was like, I ain't doing those extra routes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Jugs machine, can you shoot that thing 10 yards over my head? Because that's how they're throwing me the ball. You know what I mean?
I mean, he did have greats like Kyle Orton at the very end of his career, and E.J. Manuel as a rookie, and
All right.
Tyrod Taylor at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor, by the way, very good football player.
So's Orton.
All right. Let's get to a break.
Not with the Bills.
Almost Super Bowl champ.
Who?
Kyle Orton.
Alex Smith's getting a ring. We'll talk about that.
What?
Look around you. It's a wireless world. And everyone needs a great pair of wireless earbuds. And you already know Raycon earbuds started about half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds on the market, in that they sound just as amazing as other top audio brands. Raycon's latest model, the E25, is their best one yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise-isolating fit. Raycon's wireless earbuds are so comfortable, it's perfect for the on-the-go listening or taking phone calls. Unlike some of your other wireless options, Raycon earbuds are both stylish and discreet with no dangling wires or stems. You've heard us talk about how the company was co-founded by Ray J, H-A-H-A. Beat. Drop. Now. And celebrities like Snoopy Dogg, SNOOPDOGG, Cardi B, Melissa Etheridge, Brandy, J.R. Smith, friend of the show, are obsessed with Raycons. Now it's time to see what the hype is all about. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Pat. That's buyraycon.com/Pat for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/Pat. 38 minutes after the first hour here. We'll get some more phone calls on the other side. Also, predicting where all the free agent quarterbacks, not predicting, by the way. This isn't a prediction. These are spoilers, as Paul Heyman would say, to where all the free agent quarterbacks are headed. You're welcome. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no-contract advantage. Unlimited talk, text, and data now for $30 a month. Now on a 5G-ready network with no activation fees ever. No confusion, no complexity, no frustration, and no contract. Ever, ever, ever. Now get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a month. And now 5G-ready. It's our best deal ever. Buyers now at nationwide retailers or at Simple Mobile dealers. Learn more at simplemobile.com. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
Let's get right to it. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Joining us now is a man who was an All-Pro and a Super Bowl champion and a legend, former offensive lineman for the Green Bay Packers, the handsome Josh Sitton.
What's up, man?
Josh, how's it going? How's life? The beard looks beautiful.
Thank you, man. Life's great. Life's really good.
I have a question for you. When you won the Super Bowl, I never got to do this. What is the celebration like directly after you reach the pinnacle of your sport? This thing you've always dreamt of as a child, and every time you strapped on the shoulder pads, you wish to be a world champion. Then you got a chance to experience it. The Chiefs are currently experiencing it. Is it all one big blur, or how did you treat the Super Bowl celebration?
Oh, one giant blur. I just got really, really drunk for like 4 months straight, 5 months straight. We had the lockout the next year, so we didn't go back till August. So it was rough when we got to training camp, but it was fun. I mean, I actually took a beer we were in Dallas. They had got the suites on the field, field level. So I grabbed a few beers on the field from somebody's suite. I didn't have a clue who they were, and was just sitting there chugging beers. And after a game, you get drunk after a couple beers. You're so dehydrated. So it was a good time.
What was the parade like? Because they got theirs coming up tomorrow at 10:30. I see that your baby's destructive, by the way. Congratulations for that. But what was the parade like? What's the mindset going into that? It's like, hey, who gives a damn about anything? Let's enjoy this.
So we didn't have a parade. It was so cold in Green Bay. It was like minus 20 or something. So they couldn't do like an extended period of time outside. So they filled the stadium, which I don't understand why we didn't do a parade if they filled the stadium for like 4 hours. So, it was pretty stupid. So they filled the stadium and we just went in there and they let a bunch of different guys talk. And we had a kind of a sort of parade when we landed from Dallas in Green Bay, because there was thousands. There was people lined up from the airport all the way to Lambeau Field, which was pretty badass. So they had buses for us. They opened all the windows. That was kind of our parade.
You're having a parade right now with a baby that is attempting to take the hat off of your head. What's the name of the baby and how old?
He is Deuce. He's Joshua James II. So I'm just gonna put him down real quick. Hold on.
We literally just walked into a pitch black room with Josh Sitton, by the way. I believe he's putting his baby in a crib. Joshua James II, also known as Deuce.
I'm back.
Hey, it's great to have you back. The Super Bowl is obviously this whirlwind of emotions, and now we got to think about next year already. The conversation has started about where quarterbacks are going, Tom Brady, that entire conversation. If you were Tom Brady, would you want to go somewhere else at the end of your career? You did that. I believe you ended up at the Bears. What would be your recommendation as a guy who had a hell of a career one place and potentially going somewhere else?
Stay where you're at. Like, let's not ruin your legacy. I think all signs are kind of pointing towards him going somewhere else, but I think he's going to stay. It's just you get so used to being somewhere, you get used to your routine, you get used to all that. I don't know. Let's not taint your legacy at all. And then, not that he will, but I mean, you want to be able to say, hey, I did my entire career at one place. Like, there's only 1% of the guys that can say that. Yeah, but the competitive side of them is probably wanting to say, screw you for not paying me over the past 6-7 years at the top, and I can go do it still and do it somewhere else. But I would say just stay and live it out there.
The routine thing is interesting that you mentioned. Is that what you experienced? It just became a different world. It wasn't the same professional football that you had for all that time?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I didn't think about. When I left, obviously I got cut, so it's not like I didn't really have a choice. But, you don't think about those things. You get used to living the same exact life over and over. And as football players, we're very routine people. And it kind of screws with our head when our routine gets messed up. So just the little things, it takes 14 minutes to get to work. It's, I get taped by the same guy every day. He tapes me the exact same way. Just really small things. I got the same trainer, the same nutritionist, the same meals, just all these things you get used to. And then outside of your football life, just your normal, family life, you get really used to that routine and what you do. So there's a lot of things that I didn't really think about when I moved on and went to a different place, and it was like, damn, this is really different. But I don't know, man. I think he needs to stay where he's at and finish it out there as the best ever.
That's something I never even thought about, by the way. I played with the Colts my entire 8 years. I didn't even think about the potential of, even restaurants you eat at night and like things like maybe even your shop. Everything, if one little thing is off, now granted, I assume Tom Brady's a lot mentally tougher than I am, but if a couple of things start stacking on each other, now you're getting distracted by things that don't matter. And that's something that you have a routine with. I didn't even think about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was such a routine guy. If something got just a little bit off, I would just have an absolute panic attack. Wouldn't be able to function, If my jersey got moved a little bit, or I didn't tape the right thing first, or this, like I would just freak out. So, when you make a big move like that, there's a lot of things that are different. So,
Green Bay Packers in LaFleur's first year end up in the NFC Championship, right? Aaron Rodgers looks as if he's having fun playing football again. There was nothing fun about that NFC Championship game. I mean, they just got deboed. I mean, literally and figuratively deboed by the San Francisco 49ers. Going into the offseason, what do you think the mindset is for the Packers? Where do they have to get better? And do you see the team obviously ascending? I don't know how they would have to get to the Super Bowl to do better than they did last year, I guess.
So I think they need to add a couple playmakers. I don't think Jimmy Graham ended up, working for him. I thought it was a great signing when it happened. But you're paying the guy $10 million and he's got, 30 catches or so, or whatever it is. I don't know the stats, but I think you need to improve there. Get another playmaker. Those younger receivers didn't end up working out for him. And Aaron is a guy that needs to have guys that are on the same page with him. He's always been most successful when he's dialed in with somebody for an extended period of time, somebody that can read him. Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, those guys all knew Aaron and knew his movements and knew his timing. And, he didn't have that with those other guys. He has that with Devontae, but he didn't have it with those other guys. And I think on defense, they're going in the right direction. They'll probably add a piece or two, but I think they're solid over there. And then Aaron's just I feel like Aaron's got to play, change his game a little bit. He's obviously getting older. He's played that Pat Mahomes style of football for, ever since he's been there. He needs to really get into just being a pocket passer and being successful in that area, because he can be. He did it, when he hurt his calf when we were on a playoff run in 2014. People were worried, and he sat in the pocket and cut people up in, every game. So it's, he can do it. He's so used to playing off script that it's just, everything becomes habit. So he needs to kind of break that habit a little bit, because he's getting older and can't do the things, with the explosiveness that he used to.
Last question before we let you go, and I appreciate you so much for joining us. Patrick Mahomes is about to break the bank. Do you think he should have any mindset of potentially taking less than what everybody's projecting so they can continue to build a team around him, or should he get every single dollar that he can get?
Get every dollar you can. I mean, there's only a certain amount of time you can play this game, and I know that kind of sounds selfish or whatever, but there's only a few guys, and Tom is one of them that would take less money to help build a team around him. But you never know what the next day is going to look like. We have a weird profession where we make the bulk of our money. We make most of our money in our life in a 5 to 10 year span, and then we got to go make that last the rest of our lives. And your life changes and whatever. So you got to go make as much as you can and do it while you can.
How's your business going? Business good over there?
Business is great. Yeah, we're having a great year. We just got our year-end financials done, and everything looks good. So,
hey!
Yeah, we're excited about it. So we're happy. We got like 3 or 4 really big jobs going on right now too. So it's been good.
I love having you on the show. We got to get you on earlier in the hour next time so we can talk longer. Ladies and gentlemen, All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, and businessman Josh Sitton. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Old baby Deuce was wreaking havoc in that house. Going to be a good offensive lineman, that baby.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I bet you if I'm Josh, I'm putting a baseball in that kid's hand or a golf club in that kid's hand immediately. Maybe have him throw lefty and knuckleballer. A lefty knuckleballer. Has that happened in the MLB?
Maybe a few times, but none off the top of the head.
That's my kid. My kid's going to be a lefty knuckleballer. Good luck to everybody. He's making all the money. 18 years after we, give birth to a child, Samantha gives birth, that kid's going to make all the money throwing lefty knuckleballs.
Smart move.
Hope the kid doesn't suck. All right. Not like this show. We're back on the other side. More phone calls, more conversation. This is Pat McAfee Show. I have no clue why you listen, but I'm thankful you do.
One by one, it's happening. People are freeing themselves from the hassle and frustration of their wireless contracts. It's a movement towards something simple. Simple Mobile. Truly unlimited high-speed talk, text, and data on a 5G-ready network. And no contract. Ever. Get truly unlimited data on a 5G-ready network for just $45 a month. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Out of your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
You're damn right it is, Chase Rice. You're damn right. It is Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. We're coming to you live from Indianapolis, Indiana. Joining me at Nick Moraldo, at Tone Diggs, Ty Schmidt, Jason Zito, Foxy, and Gumpy is on the phones. First hour, we had an incredible conversation with Josh Sitton, talking about how if he could go back, he wouldn't have appreciated going to the Chicago Bears or another team because it messes up your routine. That was obviously due to a conversation about Tom Brady potentially ending up somewhere else this offseason. Now, the Hulu commercial during the Super Bowl has sent everybody in a tizzy. Boston Connor has been walking around with a tent in his pants because he said, I'm not going anywhere, which obviously Boston Connor viewed that as a testament that he's going to stay a New England Patriot. Everybody else who wants him to leave the Patriots takes it as I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to play. Now, both those things are potentially true. I'm excited to see what happens. The conversation in the first hour that really generated some buzz on the internet is the thought that Tom Brady potentially ending up at the Niners, and the Niners potentially trading Jimmy G back to be with Bill Belichick in the New England Patriots. It makes sense, too much sense for all parties involved. And if it happens, I love the NFL and Bill Belichick so much more than I do at this current moment.
Who says no? In that situation, who says no?
Bless you.
If Brady goes ahead and retires after 2 years or whatever, then you can draft a quarterback. He's on a team-friendly deal. You can build up that defense again. That kind of goes back to your model of how teams have to win Super Bowls now.
Yes.
I mean, it almost makes too much sense for everyone not to just be like, you know what, let's do it.
Tom Brady is not the only free agent quarterback, though, this offseason. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. They have Patrick Mahomes. They're about to extend him, I get from what I've been told. A lot of conversation on whether or not he should take a team-friendly deal so they can continue to build up around him. I don't know how I feel about it. Patrick Mahomes, whatever they pay him won't be enough. Whatever they pay him will not be enough to make up for what he's already done for the Kansas City Chiefs. First time in 50 years, one of the greatest fan bases in any sport gets a chance to experience a Super Bowl championship. First time in 50 years that Kansas City, Missouri gets to celebrate a Super Bowl championship with a parade. It's the first time in 50 years that the Kansas City Chiefs, every single time they're on television, it's must-see TV. It's the first time in a long time that the NFL has a real playmaker, a real face of a franchise with a franchise that has a very loyal fan base like the Kansas City Chiefs. So no matter what they pay him, won't be enough. And he's going to make 30 to whatever million off the field in endorsements because how incredibly humble he is, how great of a speaker he is. He's attractive, and he's very, 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 very good at the football. But with that being said, this show has always been a show where we've questioned on whether or not somebody will take less money than what they're potentially going to get so that they can take care of the rest of the roster. Now, everybody says you got to get every dollar that you can possibly get. But when a quarterback does that, that means a lot of dollars from other players aren't going into their pockets. It's only going into the players, the quarterback's pocket. Whenever I was negotiating my deal with a GM that was a big fan of mine, the only thing that was hung over my head every single conversation was we have to sign Andrew Luck. We have to sign Andrew Luck. The quarterback deals have gone skyrocketed through the roof since the new CBA has happened. There's a higher salary cap with the rev share that the CBA was negotiated, which in turn, the only thing that really meant was quarterbacks are just getting more money and everybody else has a chance, but it's nowhere near what the quarterbacks are getting. And I believe in the fact that everybody should be rich. Everybody should get every dollar that they possibly can. But I'm torn with this case because if you look at case studies, aside from Aaron Rodgers, and aside from potentially Russell Wilson, who led a good team this year, it doesn't seem to work for teams whenever they break off a quarterback for that team to have success. It's just not the way it goes. The LA Rams were in the Super Bowl just last year. They paid Jared Goff. Can't pay anybody else. They stunk. They absolutely stunk. Matt Ryan got paid in Atlanta. They stink. Tannehill got paid in Miami. They stunk. I mean, you just go down the list. Bang, bang. Once Andrew Luck got paid, we didn't make the AFC Championship a game. It's just the way it goes. Whenever you pay one person 15% of the salary cap, you don't have enough cash to go around. Then you see these rookie quarterbacks on these rookie deals have all this success because you can spend money everywhere else. The natural question is to ask is, you know what? Is the right blueprint for success in the NFL to have a quarterback that doesn't take the max deal so you can utilize cash in other places so that that team can have success? And if the team has success, that means your life is much happier than it is whenever you're miserable. Now, granted, will Patrick Mahomes do that? I don't think the NFLPA will let him. That's kind of the way it goes. The NFLPA almost forces these people to take as much money as it possibly can because you're setting the tone for the next player behind you. Now, is there another player that is a Patrick Mahomes coming? Lamar Jackson, maybe. If Lamar Jackson can go on and win a Super Bowl for the Baltimore Ravens, maybe he is well in that air. That rarefied air is somebody that can flip around a franchise quickly, that can win the NFL MVP and the Super Bowl MVP in your first 3 years in the league. Maybe that's something that Lamar Jackson can do. But is that something that we expect from most young quarterbacks? No. So I think Patrick Mahomes is in a different world than everybody else when it comes to his payment. But boy, if he takes a little bit less and they can continue to pay people around him, that team's going to be much more successful. I want him to get every single dollar that he possibly can because just like Josh Sitton alluded to in the first hour, when you're a professional athlete, all the money that you're supposed to make in your entire life comes in a 5 to 10 year plan. In your 20s, by the way, in your 20s. That is supposed to extend for however long you're going to live. Now, I've always said that I'm not going to live long. I've changed that. I want to live forever. But let's say you're supposed to live till you're 70 or 75, whatever it is. That's 45 more years that money is supposed to cover you, your family, your children, everything like that for the rest of your life. If you're only a professional athlete forever, which a lot of guys don't have real degrees because they weren't able to focus on schooling while focusing on football in college, or their degrees aren't worth a damn, so whatever profession they're going to get into, if it's not like media or maybe real estate, if they have smart real estate mind, they're not going to be able to make the money that they, anywhere near the money that they make. So this money is supposed to extend forever. So I am a big fan of get every single dollar you can. Eat however you can eat. But also, whenever one person eats all of the food, there's a lot of runts running around that don't get a lot of food. And that means that you can't build your pack up as strong, which I think a lot of players should think about potentially doing.
Yeah, so they're talking about him getting 40 a year. At the minimum, I think.
You drop that thing down to $35 million a year. Is that not still good? Then you got that $5 million still to spend on an offensive lineman that would love that money, all that stuff.
Correct. Yeah, $5 million is exactly what you get for an above-average offensive lineman.
It's.
But I also, over 5 years, that's $25 million out of his pocket.
I know, and that's why I guess right now the Dallas Cowboys, Dak wants $37 million a year. The Cowboys only want to give him $33 a year. And when you think about it, it's like, yo, Jerry, That's $4 million. Now, this is all alleged. None of these things, by the way, everything you hear has not been confirmed. But when numbers leak out, there's a reason that numbers leak out. It's either a PR advantage for one side or the other or something like that. Marcus Spears, who's from Dallas, played for the Cowboys, said on Get Up this morning that Dak wants 37. The Cowboys only want to pay him 33. And when you're talking about a grand scheme of billions and billions of dollars, $4 million isn't that much. But if they sign him to a 5-year deal, that's $20 million. That's a lot of millions that Dak Prescott's like, yo, I'm not dropping to 33. And Jerry's like, well, it's $20 million if we get up to 37. So it's just such an interesting thing. And I understand wanting to get every single dollar that you can. This is why I'm torn, though, is because my contract was directly affected because of the thought of Andrew Luck's contract. So I understand that Andrew Luck got to eat, but I didn't get to eat as much as I didn't get an appetizer. You know, I didn't get to eat because of that. I was pretty good at my gig, but he was much more important than I was. So I am very conflicted on this conversation. Very, very conflicted on this conversation because I want people to get rich. I want everybody to get wealthy. I want everybody to get every dollar they can. But also, I think the world's a much happier one when you're winning as opposed to when you're losing. And I think a lot of research points to the fact that whenever the quarterback isn't getting all of that money, that they can be much more successful.
Well, and in this situation, I think back to what Michael Lombardi said yesterday on the show and on today's podcast, where the Chiefs' blueprint is essentially Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, and all the other pieces are basically interchangeable. So does it even matter if he takes less money?
You need an offensive line, though. I think you can ask Jared Goff that question.
Yeah.
You need an offensive line. And I think that's the thing that gets lost in this whole thing is the game is won in the trenches. Even though the Chiefs are a pass-heavy team, the trenches still matter in protection of Patrick Mahomes. Now, he can break free and make plays, but if they're just blowing him up like the first 3 quarters, like Patrick Mahomes was getting rushed, he was getting stripped, he was getting sacked. He only got sacked 19 times all season going into the Super Bowl. 19 sacks. That's an incredible number because the offensive line was able to handle their water for a long time. But if you have money to pay an extra offensive lineman and get a good one, I mean, I think that makes your life much happier. And is $5 million a year worth your happiness? Now you're starting to put a price on happiness. Now you're starting to put a price on health. Now you're starting to put a price on success. I'm not sure. And that's why I don't have an outright opinion other than I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the guy that's going to take a pay cut. I think he has to go get the money that he has to get. But I think his team in the long run would benefit from the fact if he did.
Yeah, and if you're an organization, you have to decide if the quarterback you're paying can be a quarterback like Rodgers, like Peyton Manning, like Tom Brady, like Ben, like Russell Wilson, who get paid and they can still carry the team, or it's right in that tier below where if you pay them top money, your team's not like if Dak gets $37 million, he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Is Dak a quarterback that can carry a roster?
So every time I've talked about this, I've talked about how the quarterback salary should not affect the salary cap. Shouldn't affect the salary cap. It should be in its own thing, and it should be tiered. Can this guy win the game all by himself? Okay, we want to put him in the top tier. This is what the price tag is. If you want to put him in a B tier, if that's how you think him, okay, he should be able to shop around and see if anybody else wants to put him in that top tier. If they don't, okay, he gets that. And it shouldn't affect the rest of the roster because I understand what the NFLPA was trying to do whenever they raised the salary cap. And then they had the veteran minimum raised, which was supposed to work out good, but in turn it actually hurt because the rookie min was like $500,000 cheaper. So if you cut 2 vets and sign 2 rooks, that's $1 million that you save. And everything that they tried to do, and this is kind of in the world in general, whenever you make one decision, normally there's rippling effects that you don't even think about that could potentially come. That happens in government all the time. Okay, let's sign a bill for this. Let's get this passed. And then like 400 things happen because of it. They're like, oh, we didn't know this was going to happen. That's what happens whenever these salary caps and CBAs are negotiated. They think like, okay, we'll make the veteran min $800,000 a year as opposed to $400,000 a year. And we'll make the rookie min $300,000 a year or $400,000 a year. They're like, this is what happened. If you're a vet and you played for a long time, you deserve more money than the rookie mins. The teams can still keep you on a minimum contract or whatever. And then the teams look at it, they're like, okay, if we cut 2 of the vets, we get $1 million. We can put that somewhere else. What the hell with those guys? It's actually shortening a lot of the bottom half of the roster careers as opposed to doing what it was intended to the years. So there's a lot to talk about in this world. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is going to be the guy to do it because he's worth so much money to the league, to the Chiefs. He knows it, and he should know it that he's worth a lot. But, boy, the team would really benefit from the fact if he took a little bit less. But in this case, you got to get your chickens, man. You got to get your chickens.
Did Peyton take team-friendly deals?
No. No, he took all the money.
If you take all the money, you have to trust your team can draft too. Like Russell Wilson's been able to get Metcalf and Lockett to help him out as weapons.
By the way, haven't been to a Super Bowl since they paid him. Right? They went to 2 Super Bowls back to back. And then once they paid him, they haven't been to a Super Bowl since. And Russell Wilson, incredible player. He was in the MVP conversation. He's really good. Haven't been to a Super Bowl since they paid him. This is just the things that happen. And Russell Wilson, I think, is that guy in that top tier that could carry the team all by himself. But if he never wins another one, my point is 1,000% proven. Like, okay, well, you can't do it.
And their offensive line does stink. Like, the only reason he makes plays is because he's able to evade people. Like, he's not getting any protection.
And you look at the Tennessee Titans, okay? They got Tannehill they got to sign, and they will sign. I think Tannehill will take a team-friendly deal because of how miserable his life was in Miami when they stunk. And he understands that he has to have a team around him. Or he'll get an agent that says, no, we cash in on that one good run that you just had for 9 weeks. I'm just intrigued by it all. And I will never have these types of conversations in my life because I would never be in that position. But for me, I've just always wondered. And by the way, it all started whenever I was told that they had to pay Luck every single time we asked for something. I'm like, you got to pay me too. Hey man, when Luck in that offense don't work because you pay him all the money and maybe the offensive line looks like Swiss cheese and the guy has a ruptured kidney and a broken rib and a torn shoulder and we got to punt a lot. That's where you need me at, pal. And I was thinking maybe you pay me just a little bit more. Nope, we got to pay Luck. All right, well, I'll go eat Grumpy.
Yeah, think if you're Tannehill, so he's made $78 million already. If you do like 4-year, $25 million, and like half is guaranteed, you guarantee $50 million. That's at least guaranteed $130 million in your career, with potential if they keep you the entire time to be $150.
Yeah, I think he takes a 2-year deal, make it guaranteed. Give me a 2-year, $40 million guaranteed deal. Let's go.
Same deal as Brissett, a bit higher.
Good old
Brissett, sorry, my bad.
The Canadian.
What was that basketball? What was that college basketball school last night? Do you want us to hammer?
The one that was an absolute lock.
Yeah,
Lafayette.
These Canadians can't speak English.
Winner.
How is there's an imaginary line, right? And then you guys just can't speak English and we can. I don't know how it happens, pal. I don't get it. Really?
Most watched Super Bowl in Canadian history.
Huh. Really? You guys like the Chiefs?
Love the Chiefs.
Is that what Canada likes, the Chiefs?
Yep.
So what we've learned from Gumpy is that there's actually 2 different they get the international feed, right? Is that right? You get the international feed? So you don't get the commercials, obviously, because commercials are a lot of American stuff. Is there anything else different in Canada for the Super Bowl?
No, it's all the same. Just earlier on my side.
Do they have to speak a different language for you guys?
Oh, come on.
It's not Celine Dion doing the Super Bowl halftime every
every year.
Tony, your Canadian slander's gone too far.
You saying Lafayette yesterday. We almost had.
Have you heard him say Italian food? The word for Italian food?
No, what is it?
Go ahead, Gumpy.
Pasta.
No.
How do they do it up there? I don't understand. Gumpy's getting deported here in the next couple days. Mostly because of how he speaks. Lafayette was a lock yesterday, by the way. We got to get to a break 17 minutes after the hour. There's this guy in Philadelphia that I've been hearing about for years, and we've been telling you all about his diamonds. If you've ever been to Philadelphia, you've seen it on the billboards, you've heard it on the radio. I hate Steven Singer. He's been making it too easy to buy gifts for over 4 decades. How long's that?
40+ years.
That's a long time. 40 years? That's longer than I wasn't even thought of. You know what I mean? Tim McAfee and Sally McAfee didn't even think about me 40 years ago whenever Steven Singer was starting to make diamond buying easy. Valentine's Day is here. You're probably thinking I'll just get her flowers again, but flowers die and end up in a trash can within a week. Give her a gift that lasts as long as you love, a real 24-karat gold-dipped rose from Steven Singer Jewelers. Picture it, a real long-stem rose preserved and dipped in 24-karat pure gold. This real rose will last forever and comes with a lifetime guarantee. Shipped for free in a beautiful gift box with your own personalized message of love. These roses won't wilt or die. They don't even need water and will remind her each and every day of your love. If this is your first Steven Signature Red Rose, is a classic and only $59, go online to IHateStevenSinger.com, click on the roses, and become a hero this Valentine's Day. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. No more ads for the day, just steaming hot radio. We'll get to the phones on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no contract advantage. Unlimited talk, text, and data now for $30 a month. Now on a 5G ready network with no activation fees and no contract ever. That's our best deal ever. Simple Mobile, out with the old, in with the simple.
Trick shot challenge. Into the bucket. By the way, I was standing next. Hold on, let me get over here.
You gotta watch that back, Tito.
That's a good toss.
You gotta watch behind it. All that shit.
What's next, brother? Got any more brain busters?
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Let's play a game called Where the Hell Are These Free Agent Quarterbacks Going to End Up At? This is a good game to play in the offseason. We'll probably play it a good 5 to 6 more times until decisions are made. Also joining this list of free agent quarterbacks are 2 quarterbacks that we expect to potentially be on the move, Cam Newton and Alex Smith. Let's start with Alex Smith. Alex Smith, obviously, superstar quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, had his greatest year that he had ever had as a quarterback. Immediately afterwards, he was sent to the Redskins in lieu of Patrick Mahomes to become a starting quarterback. Alex Smith now is to be said to be getting a Super Bowl ring from the Kansas City Chiefs as a thank you for everything he did for them and for Patrick Mahomes. He has a devastating leg injury whenever he's at the Redskins. Now he rehabbed it for an entire year, 18 months, and they're thinking he's going to be back better than ever. Alex Smith says, I want to play quarterback again in the year 2020. With Dwayne Haskins' success last year at the end of the year for the Washington Redskins and a new head coach, will they want to go back and dip the waters in the Alex Smith pool? Ron Rivera told us that they will compete. Ron Rivera told us that he enjoyed the fact that Alex Smith was able to help out Patrick Mahomes and compete with him, but let's just assume that there's a chance that Alex Smith is on the move, and if that's the case, Alex Smith ends up at the Chicago Bears with Matt Nagy, who he had at Kansas City, or the Los Angeles Chargers, who just feel like a team that Alex Smith could potentially be a quarterback for. Now, let's go to Cam Newton. Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers got hurt last year. He hadn't been healthy for 2 years. Ron Rivera also told us that if he's healthy, he will be a game changer yet again. Matt Rule, the new head coach from the Baylor Bears for the Carolina Panthers, said he plans on having an entire workout around Cam Newton to see if he's healthy to evaluate him. New head coach just signed a 7-year deal with a lot of money, focusing on the future. Will he want Cam Newton to be his quarterback? Possibly. Let's assume that he potentially gets moved. Where does he end up at? Chicago Bears. Or Chicago Bears. I think he ends up at the Chicago Bears if he is moved. Number 8, Phillip Rivers. I think Phil Rivers retires. I don't think Phil Rivers does anything. If he doesn't retire after the year that he's had, he refused to move from San Diego to Los Angeles when Spanos decided to move the Chargers out of San Diego to move them to Los Angeles. They couldn't fill up an MLS stadium for a long time. They had a lot of success 2 years ago until they ran into a buzzsaw in the New England Patriots. This past year, Phil Rivers did not look great, and Phil Rivers was notably hating the situation of having to drive from San Diego to Los Angeles every single day for work. He had an awesome Sprinter van that he's decked out with film study and all that stuff, but he refused to move his family 3 hours north of California. Immediately upon the season ending, Phil Rivers moves his family all the way to Florida to say they're getting closer to family. Whites move to Florida to retire. That's what Whites do. Although there is a little bit of interest from the Buccaneers, from what I've been told. That offense is a difficult one. Carson Palmer told us it's not an easy one to figure out, Bruce Arians' offense. If he does anything, maybe the Buccaneers. I think he's going to end up retiring. Marcus Mariota will end up a backup quarterback somewhere. Ryan Tannehill, I think after the run that he just went on with the Tennessee Titans, and the experience that he had in Miami underneath Adam Gase of sucking, I think that he will take a team-friendly deal with the Tennessee Titans to remain there, so they can pay Derrick Henry. They can continue to pay pieces around him. In the AFC South, looks like the Tennessee Titans could potentially have a lot of success long-term with Mike Vrabel at the helm. I think Ryan Tannehill has been reborn. He's already made $78 million in his career. He'll pick up another $40 million probably, which is a great chunk of change for real life, not as much for quarterback life. I think he'll take a team-friendly deal, remain at the Tennessee Titans. Jameis Winston, I have no clue what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen with Jameis Winston. Honestly, there is a rumor out there that he's asking for top-tier money. He just threw 30 interceptions. No team's going to do that. He might end up back at the Buccaneers. I don't think he's going to get $35 million or $30 million that he's hoping for, maybe in the 20s of millions. I'll be excited to see him in his second year under the Bruce Arians offense, which Carson Palmer said he should make a massive leap. He had a lot of success, threw for a lot of yards, threw for a lot of touchdowns. The Buccaneers surprised a lot of people with how good they were this year. I have no idea if Jameis Winston ends up there or Jameis Winston ends up taking a terrible deal somewhere else. Number 4, Dak Prescott. Everybody's saying he's going to get franchise tag for the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people hate this because they think, what has Dak Prescott done that doesn't warrant a long-term contract with the Dallas Cowboys? Dak Prescott has played for a terrible amount of pay. He was a low draft pick. He hasn't had a lot of money. He's the one who forced Tony Romo to go join CBS. He has done nothing short of show up and show out. They just haven't had a lot of success, to be honest with you. Led a number 1 offense last year, but now new coach, Mike McCarthy's in there. Everybody knows Mike McCarthy is his own man. Mike McCarthy has had a lot of success with a lot of quarterbacks. Montana, Favre, Rodgers, just to name a couple of them. Will he be willing to sign Dak Prescott long-term before ever having a season with Dak Prescott? I don't think so. That's why I think the franchise tag makes a lot of sense for Jerry Jones and for Mike McCarthy, although it might not make sense for Dak Prescott and the fans. I think they're just going to see if Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott can get along. If they can, let's assume that Jerry Jones will sign him long-term. I want Dak Prescott to get all the monies because I think he's been underpaid, he's overplayed, all that stuff, but I think this is probably the move that Jerry Jones thinks is right to see if he and McCarthy can get along, because he invested in McCarthy as the face of the franchise for the future. Now you got to see if it works. Let's go to Teddy Bridgewater. I think Teddy Bridgewater ends up with the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh,
I think Teddy Bridgewater, they already said down in the Saints that Taysom Hill is the heir apparent to play quarterback after Drew Brees' era is done in New Orleans. Now, you would have thought they would have had him play quarterback this year whenever there was a chance to really see if he would have been able to manage the team and win some games. Teddy Bridgewater did that instead. Sean Payton helped out Teddy Bridgewater because now Teddy Bridgewater's stock as a free agent quarterback is through the roof. He was able to win in a system that's designed strictly for Drew Brees. He had a lot of success before ending up in New Orleans. Got to remember, before he got injured with the Minnesota Vikings, there was conversations about him being an MVP. I think he potentially ends up with the Indianapolis Colts, and I think he would fit in great with the culture. I think he could be the potential missing piece. Now, granted, the Colts might stick with Jacoby Brissett, give him an entire offseason as starter. That's okay. I think there is a chance, though, Teddy Bridgewater ends up in Indianapolis. Number 2, Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees retires.
Really?
I think Drew Brees retires. I think if he was going to come back, I think that decision would have already been made. He told us just on Friday at Radio Row that there's a lot that goes into retiring. He's been doing football for 3/4 of his life. He said 31 years or something he's been playing football. He understands and loves the game. He's done a lot. He's accomplished a lot. He's at the top of every single record book. He's won a Super Bowl. He's regarded as a guy that has revolutionized the NFL and has been a trailblazer. I think he's a good speaker. I think he's smart. He'll probably get on television somewhere, make a good living there. I think he wants to spend a little bit more time with the family potentially. I think he retires or ends up with the Saints again. Right? So I think he's either retiring or Saints. I think that's definitely a lock. I'm leaning towards I think he's retired. Tom Brady, quarterback of the Niners. Tom Brady, quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, hometown team, grown up that way, or the Los Angeles Chargers, or the Las Vegas Raiders, or the Miami Dolphins, or the Cincinnati Bengals, or the Indianapolis Colts, or the Chicago Bears, or the New England Patriots. That's where I think Tom Brady goes. Happy I can predict that for you. Not a prediction, by the way. These are spoilers.
That's a lot to swallow. I love Alex Smith to the Chargers. Love that. It just makes sense.
It feels right.
The roster it's ready to win now. The knock against Phil was throwing interceptions. Alex, it's not something that he does.
Nope.
They can run the ball, play defense. Don't know what that was. I like Cam Newton to Vegas.
Hold on. Everybody's looking around the room, and there's not a single person taking blame for that sound there.
Vibrate.
How's that happen? This is like where there's like 6 people on a plane, and somebody clearly farted, and nobody wants to own up to it. It was Jason McAfee, wasn't it?
It was the back room for sure.
It was the back room for sure. It wasn't
Not
us.
back room.
It was Gumpy's mic's muted. I mean, who?
All devices on vibrate.
Okay, so somebody who wasn't around a microphone on this particular show's phone went off, and we just so happened to catch it completely clean. Is that what we're saying? Nick's computer's hooked up. Let's assume that there's a chance that Nick caught a text message on his laptop and it went through.
Nope. This laptop is not hooked up.
Go ahead, Foxy.
Could it be Don?
Don from Westwood One, potentially?
Oh,
It
Don.
wasn't our right here only. It's his fault.
Don, you snake.
Don. There we go. So it wasn't on the air then? That was just in our ear? We're talking about something nobody knows. By the way, for you guys didn't hear this, but in our headphones, a very clear text message ring just went off, very loud in the middle of Diggs' conversation. Had to stop and talk about it because I thought everybody heard it. Turns out it's just in our ears that do it. Is that accurate, Don? Don, you're on the air with us right now. By the way, this is Don, by the way, for everybody.
Hey! You snake.
Oh, so DAZN can't hear us or the YouTube. There's a guy talking to the radio, but you can't. Anyways, let's get back to it. Don, turn your phone on vibrate. How many years you been on radio, Don? No. Jason, maybe. All right, thanks. Get back to it.
What about Cam to Vegas? The only reason I don't think it's Bears because I don't think Pace will get rid of Trubisky because they're married to each other. That means like he's not going to take blame for Trubisky yet. It doesn't seem like he's taking blame for Trubisky.
I just got a text, by the way. It said you could hear the phone on DAZN. So it had to be somebody else's phone. Let's assume that it's Cuban Zeet's because that's what Cuban Zeet does is he's a terror on everything and he blames other people.
We're done.
Go ahead, Diggs. I'm sorry.
Do you think Pace will admit that Trubisky's not the quarterback?
No, but I think Nagy would go to bat for Alex Smith. That's the only reason why I think Alex Smith could end
that
up
makes
there.
sense.
Because I think he would be able to go to bat, and I think Pace would listen to him.
Do you think Gruden and Cam would see eye to eye?
No way.
Imagine him dressing just one time the way he dresses in jungle.
Get out of here, man.
What about Jameis in Carolina with that offense?
No way, Matt Rule. Oh, you know what? That offense, though, would be awesome, right? We saw what Joe Burrow was able to do with that offense down there with Joe Brady. Joe Brady comes into Carolina Panthers. Jameis Winston is young, potentially 7 more years at least with Matt Rule. Is Matt Rule going to take a chance to pay Jameis Winston whatever Jameis Winston is asking for, or will he wait for it to kind of get a little bit lower on the price tag for Jameis Winston? That's a great question.
What about Phil Rivers I hate to do it to our guy, in Miami to possibly
Ryan Fitzpatrick. You don't sub out Ryan Fitzpatrick.
What are we doing here, Tony?
Gumpy, diehard Fins fan. You're not taking Phil Rivers over Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'm not taking anybody over Ryan Fitzpatrick.
What about Joe Burrow?
Well, he can back up his first year behind Fitzpatrick. He can learn.
Let's get to the phone. Let's go to Mike in Wisconsin. Wants to talk about Trubisky. Mike, what's going on, pal? Can't do it, Mike.
Come on, Mike.
Is he all right?
Just can't do it. Let's go to Dylan in Indiana. Dylan, what's going on, pal?
How's it going, guys? I got what I thought was a pretty funny halftime story. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Oh.
So me and the lady, we were watching J-Lo, and I'm a complete buffoon, and I go, hey, is J-Lo married? And she goes, yeah, his name's Alex. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, right at the end, they show A-Rod, and I'm like, oh, I'm a freaking idiot. She goes, what? I go, she's married to A-Rod. She goes, yeah, I know. I said his name's Alex. I go, you said it like he was just another person, not the greatest player in baseball.
Whoa.
When's the funny story?
Let's get to a break. 35 minutes after the hour, Dylan. I appreciate that, honestly. I mean, I just hit myself with a hammer. But, Dylan, I appreciate the fact that you did. This is the Pat McAfee.
It's happening. People are freeing themselves from their wireless contracts. It's a movement towards something simple. Get truly unlimited data on a 5G-ready network for just $45 a month, with no contract ever. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
Welcome back to the Pat Mackey Show. 41 minutes after the hour. NBA is happening. To talk about that, our Canadian friend, Gumpy. Gumpy, what's going on in the NBA?
There's a massive beef right now between Andre Iguodala and the Memphis Grizzlies. He's basically said he will not play and wants to be traded. And Ja Morant and another player have went on at him in interviews and on social media. Steph Curry's got involved. It's getting really ugly here.
Okay, so Andre Iguodala, formerly of the Warriors and the 76ers, who is a world champion multiple times, also an all-star when he was with the Sixers, chose to take a six-man off the bench role with the Golden State Warriors to win a championship. A few of them ends up at the Memphis Grizzlies, says, I refuse to play until they trade me to a title contender. Now the Memphis Grizzlies, their young star Ja Morant, and also the guy
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks are now going after him, saying they can't wait for him to get traded so they can bury him basically and play against him.
It's weird though because the Grizzlies are 25-25 and in the 8th seed right now, and you see what Chris Paul has done with a young OKC team. I just don't see why he just won't play and then get traded eventually at the deadline or get put on waivers.
None of it makes sense to me either. The NBA is a special league with special humans. I'm excited to see Ja Morant continue to grow. Also, I love a good beef between a couple players and professional athletes. This is good. Even if you're on the same team, a public dispute is always good.
Hey, and tonight, Zion versus the Bucks.
Giannis.
Oh, yeah.
Giannis and Zion. Zion. That's my guy. Is he still playing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Still healthy?
Oh, yeah.
Doing good at basketball?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Are the Pelicans introducing him last at home games, or is
No
he still
idea.
getting introduced second in a massive display of disrespect by the Pelicans organization? Drew Holiday. What the hell's a Drew Holiday? We're here for Zion Williamson. The only reason this game is on ESPN is because Zion Williamson, you introduce him second. Get the hell out of here, Pelicans.
Him and Lonzo are hitting for about 2 alley-oops a game at this point.
Hey, Lonzo, by the way, is the one that benefited most from Zion Williamson because I completely forgot that Lonzo played basketball, A. And B, I forgot that he was good at basketball. B, I completely forgot he was good at basketball. He was a very good player for the Pelicans the other night when I watched him. I will watch tonight because I'm a big Giannis guy. George Hill also on the Bucks, hometown hero here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Speaking of a hometown hero, let's talk about a hometown zero, a guy that's made $0 for the fans and his shots for $1,000.
Oh,
That was just uncalled for.
We're talking about Evan Fox. We will once again have a shot right now for $2,000. Evan Fox will go and shoot. $2,000. Evan Fox will go shoot from an NBA three. If he makes it, we will give away $2,000 American dollars. Now, I have to tell you and preface this entire thing that Evan Fox is an incredibly talented individual. Whenever he does his video editing, it is nothing short of Scorsese-like. He's a handsome guy. He has a good beard. He's been working out a bit more. He is known to have a good jumper, but every single time we've put him on the spot to shoot to win money for the fans and for the listeners, he has bricked or airballed it 6 straight times. Now, on this Tuesday, February 4th, we will join Evan Fox out on the NBA court, I believe. Foxy, how are you feeling right now in your chance to shoot here out of nowhere to potentially make your first one out of 7 attempts for the fans?
I feel good, Pat. I'm glad that you mentioned that I am working out because you guys do seem to know my workout schedule, and then you plan these shots days after. So I'm a little sore, but hey, I have no excuses. This is for the fans.
That
this
wasn't
isn't about
excuse.
me.
That was an excuse. You
No.
just led off with an entire excuse.
No, that was not an excuse, all right? And I just want to thank you for giving me another opportunity as head coach of this team.
Put the,
you got a guy that's
put the
over
microphone
six.
down.
All right.
Evan Fox, who's very handsome and very talented, will attempt to shoot for $2,000 cash for the listeners. We will give away 2 great. Oh, he passes it to himself off the brick. He steps up for the wing. I am so happy he hangs on the rim in an attempt to break it. We will give away $2,000 because Evan Fox is now 1 for 7. Attaboy, Evan. Welcome back, pal. Wow, what a day. I am so happy for you. It was the pass off the brick, he said.
It was.
In past experiences, he has gone airball, brick, 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 brick. And in this particular time, he decided to pass it off the brick, and nothing but splash for the young, handsome Evan Foxy. I, for one, know that a lot of the internet is very happy for you. Friends of mine that only watch the show from afar, who have never met you before, started to feel bad for you. They started telling me to stop bullying the kid with the terrible jumper and putting him on the spot to shoot. And today, Tuesday, February 4th, 46 minutes after the hour, you step up and knock one down for a couple grand.
Pat, thank you for having faith in me. As head coach of this team, I'm 0 for 6. You should have benched me. But you kept me in the game.
I think if I would have given you a heads up before the show that we were doing it, 1,000% a miss. Yeah. It's like quarterbacks in the 2-minute drill where they don't have to think. They're just out there throwing. They normally do better. Evan Fox had no idea that was coming. He stepped up for the team. I'm happy for him. Let's get to Jacob in Ohio. Good for you, Foxy. Let's go to Jacob. What's up, pal?
What's going on, Pat? How you doing?
I'm great now, honestly. I was starting to feel terrible for the kid that works for me, Evan Fox, because the whole world thought he was just a bum with no jumper. And today he stepped up and knocked one down. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was impressed with that little underhand pass off the brick and the splash.
Okay, perfect. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Anyway, so yeah, I'm calling from Ohio, supporting the Bengals. And so I want to know how much credibility you think the Dolphins might trade 3 first-round picks for the number 1 pick.
Hey, Gumpy, you sent a tweet yesterday or you posted something. The Miami Dolphins are in a prime position to make some real leaps and bounds in the AFC. Not alone the AFC East, who the Buffalo Bills looked great this past year. Josh Allen is a quarterback. He got better at quarterback. He looked like a tight end for a while playing quarterback. This past year, he looked like quarterback. They did good. Defense is good. Lorenzo Alexander retired. They're going to have to fill in for him. But the AFC East, with Tom Brady's future in jeopardy, Kyle Van Noy gone, Joe Judge gone, Scarnecchia gone, the Patriots will always have Bill Belichick. They'll always be a good team. But is this upcoming year the year the Dolphins make the big run? They are primed for it, Gumpy. They got the most money in salary cap out of everybody in the NFL. They have the most amount of picks in the draft. Do you see them potentially making a move to get Joe Burrow or trading up to get another quarterback?
I think we might be forced to trade up with the Lions to get Tua. I think the Chargers could make a play for that number 3 spot.
Okay, so they get Tua. You let him sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick for a year. Let him learn the ins and outs of the NFL for a guy that's been around the entire NFL. Watch him play a little bit, rehab the hip, get completely healthy, and then take over that team. Tua's family has already said that he'll quit football if he has to go to Detroit.
Don't want him.
Let's go to Ed in Dallas. Ed, what's up, bud?
Oh, brother, I want to say congratulations to Foxy, a.k.a. Billy Hole from White Man Can't Jump. On the rim move. Just need him to hold it in the air next time when you make that shot, okay, and yell Kobe. That would have been awesome if he'd done that.
Yeah,
of
course.
Missed opportunity.
Of course it ruins it. Maybe it shouldn't count because he didn't do it. We'll review
okay,
it.
He'll get it next time. He'll do it again.
I don't know if he'll make it ever again, Ed. Honestly, we don't know that. We have no idea if he'll make it ever again. What do you want to talk about?
I wanted to hit you up real quick because I'm saying the reason why Rivers moved his family to Florida is because, there's no state income tax. And so that money that he's going to get for maybe a $25 million 2-year contract signed with Tampa Bay does the same thing. What do you think?
California.
That's actually a very good call. California has the most taxes in the history of taxing. They say that even communist Russia back in the day has less taxes than California. It almost feels like with all of the taxes that California adds on that they don't want humans to live. So I completely understand that. Tennessee is a state that doesn't have state income tax. Texas is a state that doesn't have state income tax. Florida is a state that doesn't have state income tax. That would actually be a very smart business move. Probably should have done it about 15 years ago if he was going to do it. But I respect the fact that he was thinking about potentially tax evasion to get down to Florida so he didn't have to pay state income tax. I respect that a lot. I just feel like this was potentially a move for him to, kind of sail off into the sunset over there in Florida.
I was thinking this while we drove through Miami the other day. If you're like House of Residence, you say you live in Florida, but you play for the Colts, are you taxed based on where you work or where you live?
You have to stay there at least 6 months.
Okay.
Have to stay there at least. Why do you think my company in Delaware, Little Dicky? That's another place where you can get a little tax break on your companies. Let's go to Tavis. Tavis?
Yeah.
Tavis, let's try to make this good.
The blind squirrel finally found a nut.
Attaboy, Foxy.
Thank you.
Speaking of nut, cupcakes.
I want to talk about the CBA and why is nobody talking about adding extra roster spots then? If they're going to be playing 17 games, that's a whole nother week of potential injuries, and you need a couple guys on your roster to make up for that.
Great call there, Tavis, actually. I do believe they'll probably add an extra 3, maybe 4, hopefully. But you got to remember, when it comes to the players, there's only a certain group that is going to start. I think all those things revolve around special teamers. Now, granted, special teamers step into the role of starters whenever starters go out. That's why there's always a recycling happening at the bottom half of the roster, which doesn't get talked about a lot. A lot of players that you have no idea played for the teams that you love, because they're on the special teams. You just saw them as a number running down the field. They might have been there for 2 days, 3 days. You would never know. I think that's actually a really good call, Tavis. Let's assume they up the roster to 60 maybe, add 7 more players, which means, by the way, locker room's going to have to change now and facilities. Yeah. Oh, no. Everybody thinks it's fun and games adding these 17 games. Now you got to add extra lockers into your facilities. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Bengals aren't going to be able to fit everyone.
Practice. Joe Burrow, your locker's out there with the rookies, which is in the facility, the eating cafeteria area, which is bad food from what I've been told. How about Carson Palmer just taking just a ricochet shot at Cincinnati Bengals? Still.
You said not much have changed since you left, and he said not much has changed
since Boomer. By the way, a lot of Cincinnati Bengals blogs tweeted me. They're like, another jaded old player. It's like, well, it seems
there's
as
a lot of them.
Every player is a potential jaded old player for the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think Joe Burrow is going to turn that team around, though, by the way. I think Joe Burrow is going to turn the Cincinnati Bengals around. He's a guy that I think is ready for the grit that would be needed to get the Bengals to turn around. You know, no indoor facility, none of that. You know, I think he'll be ready to go, honestly.
I agree. Yeah. I mean,
Tua to the Dolphins makes a lot of sense, by the way. Gumpy's on the phone. We're not going to take that phone call, so we're about done. Let's go to Philip in Maryland. Philip, what's going on? What do you want to talk about?
Hey, good morning, Pat. Love the show. Hello to the crew. You guys are hilarious, and you offer a ton of great insight into the sport.
Oh, thank you. Say no more, my friend.
Idea.
Let's go to Bill in Kansas. Bill, what's going on?
Hey, I was calling to get your thought, Pat, on whether you thought John Elway would pull another Peyton Manning situation and bring Tom Brady in with the most salary cap he's had in recent years.
Oh, no. They also were on the field together for the top 100. I was looking around that picture that Tom Brady put out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL top 100. John Elway standing on the field with Tom Brady. He's the only one eligible to potentially play unless he's talking Peyton Manning back into it. Drew Lock is a stud, though. Drew Lock came out and dominated for the Broncos towards the end of the year there. Do you hand the keys over to Tom Brady if you're the Denver Broncos? It worked for you with Peyton Manning. Do you think about doing it again? Maybe. Tom Brady, the Broncos, is a potential landing spot.
John Elway doesn't love anything more than John Elway. I don't think he wants to see another guy come in and win a Super Bowl. I think,
Bingo.
He just does not want to see that happen.
Nice Tuesday, February 4th. Let's recap. We talked about the 17-game season. We talked about where all the free agent quarterbacks are going, plus Cam Newton and Alex Smith. Did we get the news we missed? No, we'll do it tomorrow. Josh Sitton joined us. Patrick Mahomes, I talked about how terrible that trip to Disney World had to be. Not a bad little Tuesday. And Evan Fox made a shot.
Oh, hey.
What a day. This is a good day. We got complimented from a guy in Maryland.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
It's a good show. I have no idea what's next. I hope it's a much better show than this one. I hope they have a little bit of segments and a little bit of formatting and know what the hell they're talking about. There's nothing like what we do every single day. So the fact that you listen and watch, we appreciate the hell out of you. Download the podcast, Pat McAfee Show 2.0. If you haven't got a chance to catch all of the shows, that basically is everything you could potentially want. We appreciate you immensely. You're the absolute greatest. This has been the Pat McAfee Show from Indianapolis, Indiana. I hope the next show is better. Honestly, I think it's Jim Rome. Definitely better than whatever this show was.
Clones.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no contract advantage. Unlimited talk, text, and data now for $30 a month. Now on a 5G ready network with no activation fees ever. No confusion, no complexity, no frustration, and no contract. Ever, ever, ever. Now get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a month. And now 5G ready. It's our best deal ever. Buy yours now at nationwide retailers or at Simple Mobile dealers. Learn more at simplemobile.com. Simple Mobile, out with the old, in with the simple.